Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking the video and subscribing to the channel are free and easy for you, and they help me out a lot. If you want to go further with your support, Patreon and YouTube membership offer access to the BoshNRoll Discord community, early access to lists, written content, things like that. You can have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use YouTube membership, you also get sweet badges and emotes integrated here into YouTube. You can support the channel while you shop at tcgplayer.com by using my affiliate link in the video description, and you can play any deck anytime by using a cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. If you want to wear your support, check out the merch store. And of course, thanks for being here. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today we're playing Legacy, and we are taking a trip down memory lane to play Bant Loam. This is from Patreon subscriber Spunky, and Spunky wants to revisit a deck that he and I worked on together a long time ago. Right after Dreadhorde Arcanist got banned. We're going way back, way before Modern Horizons 2. Spunky and I were working on a Bant Flash deck that basically tried not to tap out during its opponent's turn and play threats like Hull Breacher and Shark Typhoon, and Ice Fang Coatl at the time was in the deck. Over time, the deck got a little slower, a little more tap out heavy than Modern Horizons 2 was printed. We got Endurance, that was a huge juicer, and the metagame started to catch up, and over time, the traditional tap out Bant list merged into Spunky and my Flash list, and we both met somewhere in the middle where Endurance was just in every deck, Hull Breacher was pretty normal, Shark Typhoon was pretty normal as a one of, and then there was also just a ton of Planeswalkers and stuff to tap out for. Then the innovation came up of putting Loam into that deck. Believe it or not, that was not normal, 4 or 5 months ago? I forget when this innovation happened, but Zach Allen and I were having conversations about how to evolve the Bant shell, and he suggested Loam. And then from there, I played it at the Legacy Pit. It got a lot of coverage. It did really well. And Loam is just pretty stock in these Bant decks at this point. And then Bant, we added the color. We're splashing red into this Bant deck. And after that, Bant went dark. It switched the red splash for a black splash, and then Bant added 20 cards, and now Yorion 4-color Zenith is the default Endurance, Swords to Plowshares, Planeswalker sort of shell. But I played that deck recently, and I ran into, in the 7-round challenge, multiple decks from 2019. I played against Jeskai Mentor, and I played against Golgari Depths. And there was just a bunch of stuff that did not feel like modern day Magic. It felt like old Magic, where this deck was very good. And Spunky came back with a version much closer to the earlier iterations of this, where Hull Breacher, Narset, and Days Undoing are back. We originally maxed out on this sort of thing. Like the original build, if you go back on my channel, you'll find a version with like 3 or 4 Days Undoing. Now there's only 1. It's just like a cool thing you can do if you already have the hooks in. So there's 3 enablers to the 1 payoff, which I think is a pretty respectable ratio, because Hull Breacher and Narset are just reasonable Magic cards on their own. Days Undoing kind of sucks on its own though. But we're 3-1 here, and all of these things are blue, so we can pitch to our 5 forces if they aren't good for the matchup. And we're leaning back into flash threats. Just Hull Breacher has flash, Endurance has flash, and the Shark Typhoon's back. But we can't forget the lessons we've learned along the way. Uro, Field of the Dead, Life from the Loam, Expressive Iteration, they're all here too. This is a crazy amalgamation of basically the past 7 or 8 months of Bant evolution. I just realized while clicking through, talking about the cards, that Spunky snuck a Taiga in here on me. I'm going to cut that card. You don't need it. The 2 red sources, plus the fetch lands that can get them, and the Loam that can recur them, that's plenty. We don't need a Taiga in this deck. That needs to be a blue land, or maybe it can be another basic island. I'll figure out what I'm doing with that in a moment. But the rest of these cards, let's see how they stack up in almost 2022 Legacy, this early 2021 deck. I went with Basic Island to place the Tundra. This deck already has 4 lands in it that don't cast Ponder on turn 1. I can't live with a 5th. We'll see how often we draw the basic versus the Taiga and if it would be relevant or not. I'm keeping my hand though. Island Ponder, baby. Now the question is, do I play the Ponder or do I run out the Field of the Dead? I'm going to Ponder. Like, playing Field of the Dead tapped on turn 1 just doesn't really do anything helpful. That was a good find. Found Force of Will in case they're unfair. I found a fetch land to shuffle away the Triome I don't want. Might even fetch the Triome with that fetch land. The fetch land sets up my Brainstorm. Brainstorm can turn Field of the Dead into a functional Magic card. Got a lot going on here. A lot of good stuff. I can also just play Drago for a while if that's what they want to do. I have land drops to make. Could even draw Triome, and it can live up to its theoretical potential of just getting cycled here. I currently have Endurance I can cast. I can Brainstorm into stuff, or I could just cycle Triome. We got options. But I'm making land drops, and my hand does stuff, so I don't really need to spew off this Brainstorm right now. Like, what am I trying to do? I could turn Field of the Dead into a better card, but that's really all that's going on here. And if I find Uro, Field of the Dead quickly becomes my best card. Are we in a early 2021 Bant Flash Mirror? Is that what's happening right now? Really hope I don't get dumpstered by Hull Breacher. Okay, they're fetching now. Taking the swing with Narset. Okay, well, Brainstorm happens first. I can put back... Oh, there's Uro. Uro's real good. I don't want Triome, and I'm going to put Field on top, and I'll know if I want that based on if my Force of Will resolves, and I can shuffle it away. I'm going to force pitching Jace, because Jace sucks real hard if Narset resolves. Okay, cool. I get to draw, shuffle away Triome, play Uro. Just gotta hope they're not a back to basics deck, but most decks are not right now. I don't need to leave Caracas up this turn because Uro's dead anyway, and they can't plow it in response to a trigger. Let's get to work. Field of the Dead. Uro is threatening to arrive next turn. This is kind of why Ice Fang Quaddle fell off from the early builds, or people are just like doing Uro shit. Well, Jace is really good. Planeswalkers have not fallen off. Those are very, very good, obviously. I'm going to slam Uro this turn. If I can get Field of the Dead active, that can overwhelm Jace pretty quickly. And unfortunately, I have to crack both my fetch lands because I have the awkward 2 of the lands that don't make the color I need them to make. I'm going to get my Valk because there are 4 prismatic endings in the deck. And that's the 4th color that can exile a Jace. And I have to get Tundra here to diversify my land names. And moment of truth. If they Force of Will this, I'm actually in some trouble. Oh, but they did not. Now you're in trouble instead. Get a zombie here. And yeah, one of the basics can make another zombie. Snow-covered island. Then Rockrin Triome, I can shuffle that or cycle that, or I can wait a turn and see if it's better off as a zombie. But I'm probably going to cycle it, unless they're about to jam Narset or something. Even then, I guess it's still better as a cycle. Okay, the surprise Caracas from their hand. Uro did its job, though. Got me into Field of the Dead. 2 turns ahead of schedule. Wow, they're using Jace to bounce zombies. We're in good shape here. A Ponder. I would have saved the Jace activation until after this Ponder. Like, what if the information changes and you draw a removal spell and you get to Brainstorm instead of bouncing? This is actually a close call. Maybe it's not a close call. I'm just cycling this. Like, any fetch land gives me 2 zombies, and it's not like I can play this in the end step. Oh, Teferi is a nice one. Okay, white, blue, colorless. I can even tap all my shittiest lands to cast Teferi. And whatever their plan was, they're forced to act now. Backup Coatl, sure. Right, I'm going to bounce one of these Coatls, which doesn't feel great because they get to draw a card eventually, but clearing Jace feels really great. And I have the second removal spell. Make another zombie. Swords to Plowshares, leaving up double green for endurance. Attack Jace the Mind Sculptor, get out. You know, 2 turns ago when that thing resolved, I thought we were in a lot of trouble, but now it's just in the graveyard and we're way ahead. Field of the Dead is a banger. No one can ever tell you otherwise. I don't know who would try, because it's obviously a banger. The only thing I'm worried about this at this point is something like Back to Basics. Teferi's pretty good. If they bounce one of my zombies, they die to the other zombie. Or they're gonna lose Teferi to Shark Typhoon. Like, they can bounce a zombie, then play Coatl, and have a blocker. But I can make a 2/2 Shark in the end step. Still holding up Endurance. And at this point, fetch lands are just +4/+4 onto the board. Okay, Swords of Plowshares is so much better than Coatl. Now it's not even a trade, I just get to munch. Bottom, 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 bottom. Bang, the BoshNRoll special. Get a 2/2, get a card. Get 2 more zombies. Plus Teferi. And I'm plussing Teferi with Prismatic Ending in my hand. A card which I can cast at instant speed for 4 different colors. That's a big deal. I can sneak Uro in here. This fetch land can make a 2nd green source if I need to endurance. I saved my actual land drop in case information changed and I drew an extra land or, you know, brainstorm into it or some such thing. I'm going to brainstorm looking for Wasteland right now, actually. Another fetch land. Am I going to need endurance? Is that something I want? It's a little awkward that I want to fetch these lands to get zombies on the board, but I also want all the cards in my hand. I guess endurance isn't doing much right now. And I'll put one of the brainstorms back. Then play my land for turn, get another zombie. I'm not escaping Uro because they just have Karakas. I can wait. There are wastelands in my deck. Beast Storm. This would have been the time to have a Hull Breacher. Maybe I'm supposed to fetch Brainstorm, try to spike one of my 2 Hull Breachers here. Brainstorm didn't find what they were looking for. I honestly thought we were losing that game at multiple points. But then we didn't instead, and I prefer that version. Alright, Pyroblasts are the reason that you splash red. These crack open these fair blue mirrors, like these Jace mirrors where one player has Pyroblast and the other doesn't, are just not even fair. This also answers Back to Basics, if that is a thing they have. Carpet also answers Back to Basics. I don't want Dress Down Canonist. I don't need the 3rd Wasteland. Shifting Ceratops is a spunky special. He's high on this card. I've never played it in a fair deck. I've juked with it out of Omnitel a number of times, but I've never played it in a deck that just, you know, Swords of Plowshares already has targets. They might be shaving on plows, though. I don't know if you can actually do that against Uro decks. I don't know. The number's probably smaller than normal. What do I not like? I don't really care about Force of Negation, and these Force of Wills are a lot worse. I'm bringing in Pyroblast that just straight upgrades all of those cards. Teferi is a game breaker. Iteration's a game breaker. Alright, despite what I just said, I'm gonna shave a Swords to Plowshares. I still have the endings, Karakas. I'm gonna shave 2 plows, actually. I still have endings, Karakas, Endurance to manage. Uro. Are any of these cards bad? In Wasteland's not bad. I don't know that I need 2 of it. Like, I could just cut a Wasteland and bring in a Ceratops, but then I cut a land for a 4-drop. Which is kind of shitty. I'm going to shave a 3rd plow and bring in a Ceratops for science. Let's do this. Island Ponder Keep, right? Let's do it. This hand just needs land drops. And Ponder plus being on the draw, we get to see a lot of cards. This deck also plays a high land count at 23. Ponderino. That's a little awkward, but I'm going to keep it. Wasteland is a land. It gets me into cycling Shark Typhoons, and there's a 2nd Ponder there. So I'll get to see 2 fresh cards next turn. I have to look at the card on the bottom again, but then I see 2 fresh cards under that, plus I can shuffle if I need to. And having Pyroblast in hand is just so nice. Most of the scary things they could do before I get set up are cleanly answered by Pyroblast. Oh, Carpet. Okay. Well, this was a good hand to barely have any lands in. And a second main Coatl off there. Carpet, mana, tight. Okay, Ponder, let's go. Another land. This land casts Uro or cycles Shark Typhoon. I'm not gonna shuffle that away. I am gonna hope they're not a Wasteland build though, because that will destroy me. Oh, I should have played Wasteland this turn. I just gave them an extra mana off Carpet for no reason. Whoops. Yeah, my land drops were gonna happen in that order anyway. Like, I don't have another land other than Wasteland coming. Yeah, gave him a little extra there. And that Uro just recouped the card that you lose when you play Carpet of Flowers. They're back up on cards. I think I'd rather cycle Shark Typhoon than cast Uro, though we've seen Narset in their deck. If I cast Uro, they're going to know I don't have a land drop. Does that matter? Does answering Icefang Coatl matter? They're going to Uro next turn. Yeah, my top card is Endurance. I'm going to cycle Shark Typhoon this turn. Could Wasteland my Tropical Island to take them off a Carpet mana. That'll teach them. Oh, they do it back to basics. Oh, we're in trouble. If you cut the red out of this deck I'm playing, you could easily be a back to basics deck. Second Carpet. Woof. Okay, so I'm cycling Shark Typhoon. I am losing 2 mana to do it, but I got to get through this. If I find a fetch land and can pick off the back to basics, we're actually just, you know, like that's the strength of Pyroblast here. But I'm going to need some help. Any fetch land does it, or just raw dogging the Volcanic Island. I'll take that too. If I let them untap, they'll have Force of Will up, but does that matter? They can Force of Negation now. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go after Pyroblast now, they're 1 card away from Uro. Whatever, I'm going in on Pyroblast right now. If they want to force this, I want it to cost them 2 cards. And if they hardcast Force of Negation, now it's going to cost them Tundra, which they could just tap non-basic land or basic lands for next turn. Okay, yeah, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can pitch cast Uro or Endurance, whatever this card is called. I don't think I actually have, or it's Prismatic Ending. I need to hit 2 more land drops and then resolve Prismatic Ending, because my red source is tapped now, and the only other one in the deck comes into play tapped. All right, they're playing Teferi. Regrettably, I have to Endurance them now to get Uro out of the picture just to buy this time. Teferi can bounce my Shark token, and then the board is stable in their favor. 2 cards in hand and all their mana to my not much. Oh, they bounce their own Coatl. That makes more sense. Yeah, they're playing the long game, which is the correct game to be playing in a Bant mirror. Brainstorm. This Days Undoing is rotting here. This is not a good game for Days Undoing. However, this game is so far, I'm so far behind at this point that Days Undoing could be the YOLO play that gets me back into this. I'm gonna make my attack on Teferi, trade off with the Coatl. That Shark was not particularly stable anyway. And I did draw a land, so a white source off the top can remove back to basics. Or at least, you know, threaten removing back to basics. And they get to F6 since they have Teferi value. They plus Teferi, made no mana with their carpets. Oof. Well, they're pretty clearly showing a counterspell right now. What's in my deck? I have 2 Force of Wills in the deck. I grab this Plains. Yeah, I'm gonna make the move on back to basics. I think they have a counterspell, but they're gonna have a counterspell 2 turns from now also, and 3 turns after that. And I have 2 basics I can play on now. Like we're starting to grind up to a place where I might actually cast spells. If I just find my basic forest, we can actually do 3-drop stuff. Oh fuck, they're a Days Undoing deck? Maybe is this literally like my deck? Or Spunky's deck? Is this Spunky? I don't think this is actually Spunky. Okay, they Time Twistered into Flusterstorm. Time Twister there was actually really great. I found another land, and because of the extra basic I added, I can fetch another island here and play through this back to basics. And I redrew Prismatic Ending, so we're looking for a green source, a route to my basic forest, so I can start making rain on this back to basics with ending. Recognizing this is a Days Undoing mirror now is kind of scary. Like they are... I thought we were just, you know, navigating Uro and Endurance and Ice Waddles, but they actually do have a GG combo. There's half of it. If they play a second Days Undoing, they know they can just do it right now. Narset found Ponder, casting the Ponder. Chose to shuffle. Another Ponder. Chose to shuffle again. Oh, Hull Breacher. Yikes. I mean, they already have Narset, so whatever. But that does suck really hard. Oh, and they have a second Days Undoing. All right, we're done. We're done. I've seen enough. Yeah, they got under me early on. They had mana advantage. I was missing land drops, and they had carpets, and yeah, they were just able to stick their stuff before me. Yeah, pretty clean defeat there. Okay, Hull Breacher changes my interest level in Swords to Plowshares considerably. Endurance is probably medium. Yeah, I need to be able to pressure Planeswalkers. And them being a combo deck is brutal on the Force of Will calculation. This might not be a Loam matchup. I can get Force of Negation back in. That one's more hard castable. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of Loaming in this matchup. I do have my carpets. I do have my answers to their carpets in the deck. It just didn't come together that game. All right, let's go. They don't know I'm a Days Undoing deck, but I do need to watch out for their Hull Breachers. I need to make sure I'm very stable before I take a swing on Days Undoing. Well, this is Island Ponder. I'm going to keep it. And I have the choice to get basic Island and try to start respecting back to basics, or I can get my colors under me, which I think is actually more important. I'm going to get Tropical Island and cast Ponder. Carpet of Flowers, hell yeah, okay. These back-to-back Wastelands I'm not mega stoked about, but that's okay. Carpet should help me out here. Okay, they're just passing the turn. I'm going to play Wasteland and cast my Carpet. This gives them an opportunity to Prismatic Ending my Carpet before I get mana out of it, but I need to invest in the future. My mana's pretty shaky. They're just passing with a fetch again. Well, joke's on them because my deck has Hull Breacher in it. I can cast that one on 2 Wastelands. Okay, there's an island in play now. I'm going to Hull Breach at the end step, start testing them. This is the Flash game plan. Let's hope they don't have a easy, clean answer to this. Yep, they had a very ugly answer to this. They forced pitching Ice Waddle. That's like a 3-for-1. Count it. And yes, make blue. They just forced Hull Breacher, indicating they don't have a good answer to it. So here is... Well, I can Jace, or I can Narset. Jace is a little worrisome because they play their own Hull Breachers. I'm going to Jace and plus. That way, if they do flash in a Hull Breacher here, they don't get to snipe my Brainstorm and they don't get to attack my Jace. I'm going to plus target myself, looking for lands. Put Shark Typhoon on the bottom. And I have Plow in my hand. If they flash in Hull Breacher here, that'll put islands into play and improve my Carpet. Carpet is good for at least one white next turn to answer a Breacher. Guess I just gotta hope they don't Breacher and Days Undoing all at once, because then I'm in trouble. This is actually really scary and I hate it. That read was correct. And they did not fetch any islands here. Okay, sweet relief. It's just Uro. You don't say that often. Uro did not put a land into play. Their hand is full of spells. I hope to draw a land for my turn. Nice. Okay, use Carpet and make white. Swords to Plowshares up front. I want to do that first, because if I can activate Jace this turn, that's what I want to do. Force of Negation, pitching Uro. You got it. I'm going to fetch for Volcanic Island. Volcanic Island sounds good. Plus Jace. I think I want to target them. I know they're missing land drops. Yes. Put that on the bottom. Blue, colorless. Here's Narset. And Narset is not getting activated this turn, because it would just die to Hull Breacher. And Narset is my insulation against Days Undoing. They can't Days Undoing. I guess we would both be Hellbent, but they would... Yeah, we'd both be Hellbent, but they would have treasures, and I would just have nothing. I would have Jace. Yeah, this Back to Basics is a good one. It's time to find Force. Or Pyroblast. Not Force. Hey, there's Pyroblast. Always had it. Yes, make red. I'm actually destroying Hull Breacher. If this Jace can get active, then I'm less worried about Back to Basics. Backup Carpet. Yeah, now we're doing it. I'm gonna put Shark Typhoon and Days Undoing on top, or is it Prismatic Ending and Carpet? Prismatic Ending and Carpet can go on top. I'm not going to activate Narset. Having her in play is just too good. Yeah, what can I say? Sometimes you just rip the card you want. They can't Days Undoing. They don't have a Hull Breacher. We know at least 3 of the cards in the hand are spells because they haven't made a land drop in 2 turns, including off of an Uro trigger. They have their own Carpet. That actually hurts a lot. They get to unlock all of the spells they've been sitting on. And I do have a bunch of islands. I could Wasteland one of my islands right now. I'm under Back to Basics anyway, but I don't think that's the play. I think playing to a world where I eventually remove Back to Basics is better than wasting myself, because I don't think it matters. Prismatic Ending, my Narset. Bummer. Okay. She's gone. Do you have stuff to do with this floating green mana? I hope not. Surgicaling my Pyroblast. Okay. I actually have them split the wrong way. I have 2 Rebs, 1 Pyroblast, which is normally the opposite of how you want to do it. But this is actually a complete stone blank surgical extraction just because of how my Pyroblasts are split. That's so funny. That shuffled away the Prismatic Ending that I was floating on top, but I don't actually want it that bad. And Brainstorm with Jace. And get my basic forest in the mix here. Or I can hold up Force of Negation for a turn. Do I need my basic forest? Is that important to my plan? I can... Or Days Undoing is actually the bad card here. Alright. I'll put these 2... This actually gets me all my basics. I'm going to hide Days Undoing and Blooded Strand. Now I can fetch... Yeah, I can fetch the second basic island if I need to counter a spell. I can fetch the basic forest if I want to get green, or I can just take a draw step and have all 3 if I don't need to spend my mana this turn. Their Carpet's a lot better than my Carpet. They're down to 1 card in hand. The Uro is in the bin, though. That's a bad one for me. Oh, I guess I can just bounce it with Jace. It's not that bad. Them at any point putting even 1 more island into play just doubles the amount of mana I get out of my Carpets. So there's a lot to like about that situation. Right, did they find something they want to cast? They are making blue. Okay, I'm gonna hard cast Force of Negation on this, commit to the second basic island. Just shuffled away Days Undoing. It was not working anyway. That taps my Wasteland forever. See if their last card in hand is Flusterstorm. It is. Okay. This doesn't matter much. Like, Jace can't, or Teferi can't answer Jace. They could bounce one of my carpets and, like, set me back a little bit of mana briefly. The Teferi does really well answer my Shark Typhoon, but if they minus Teferi now, then I get to main phase a medium-sized shark. Yeah, they did bounce a carpet. Okay. Okay, and they're Hellbent. We're in there. There's the fucking Moto Bug. Days Undoing just right back on top. Yes, make green. I get 2 green. Cool. They did play an island. Brainstorm with Jace. Alright, my basic planes. And I still think Days Undoing is the worst card here. Okay, so I can play Carpet. Fetch planes. Oh shit, I don't know which carpet. Does it tell me if it came into play this turn? Newly controlled. Okay. I can bounce the original carpet with Teferi. Alright, so this is the newly controlled one. The other one is over here. Bounce the carpet that was already in play, replay it, and then I can refire double mana on second main. Yes, make blue. Yes, make blue. And I'm going to cycle for a 2/2 shark, which is big enough to kill Teferi next turn. Alright, and I drew Field of the Dead along the way. This is a scrapper. We're ahead right now, but they do get to escape Uro this turn. And whatever happens outside of that is going to happen. I have Prismatic Ending for Uro. I have Field of the Dead to start pushing forward. But they do get a big draw step this turn. If my shark actually gets to clear their Teferi, I'll feel a lot better. Caracas, that saves their Uro once, but their own Back to Basics has them pinched under that. And there's no blue mana in the pool. Cool. Days Undoing just refuses to go away. I'm going to decline both of the carpet activations for now. I want to activate Jace first, see where it goes. Plus Teferi, that's happening regardless. Brainstorm with Jace. Red Blast and Iteration. Okay, big turn to make red mana off of carpets. And yeah, Days Undoing can continue to go away. Still don't want that card. Field of the Dead. Alright. Gonna attack their Teferi. Their Teferi's gone. Now it's carpet time. Carpets are making red and blue. Red and blue mana in the pool. Let's kick off with Expressive Iteration. Put Uro in hand. Days Undoing on the bottom. Exile Field of the Dead. Make my land drop for the turn. Get a zombie. Prismatic Ending. Or, hold up. Red Blast. The Back to Basics. That does unlock their Caracas forever, but... Oh, fuck. It also, uses... Nope, I needed that. Oh, whoops. Okay. I actually needed that red to exile Uro. I guess they're getting an attack with Uro. Well, I've done my best to throw this game away. If I untap again, we're fine. But if I don't, I'm in trouble. Oh, I can also Wasteland their Caracas next turn now that my Wastelands are unlocked, and then exile Uro forever. If they have a removal spell for my zombie, and Uro gets to actually clear Jace, that's tough. Alright, they're moving into combat, and I have Teferi, so they're not removing my zombie this turn. Or at least not before combat. Chump block. They made green second main. Backup carpet. That was the draw for Uro, or else they would have played it first main. Ponder. All right, and it's my turn. We faded. All right, I'm gonna make blue, blue, green, green. Blue, blue, green, green. Because Uro is happening here. Gonna destroy their Caracas, and then gonna float a colorless, blue, green, colorless Uro. Uro's gonna put in Tropical Island, get a zombie, play my land for turn, get a zombie. I'm kind of playing quickly here because I'm just trying to get the game done. And Uro. I should have jaced before I Uro'd in case I didn't hit a land, but got there anyway. Never punished. Brainstorm. Hull Breacher is a banger. I don't need these two prismatic endings. Or I need one of them. Yeah, definitely need one of them. And then white, blue, green is 3 colors to end Uro. 3 colors on that one, plus Teferi. Attack with my shark token. If they want to trade Coatl for it, deal. I have bigger fish. But And now I have Teferi plus Hull Breacher, so if they put a cantrip on the stack, it's just happening. And I can pitch Hull Breacher to Force of Will if they find some spell I need to counter. There are not many of those left, though. Oh, the Shadow Realm. Bang. That should get a concession. They have to mine rot themselves to get 3 treasures, and they're very dead on board. And we did it. Okay, ground through the Bant Flash Mirror like it's April. We're on the play against a Yorion deck. I'm going to keep. I have a cantrip, bunch of land drops, Uro. A month ago, I would have thought this was Death and Taxes, but right now it's more likely that it's 4-color Zenith, which is a little scary because the Yorion builds of the mid-range blue decks are basically built to crush the non-Yorion builds. But we'll see how this all lines up. And their avatar is a Johnny. Like, I don't know if that actually gives me any information, but this might be a mono white player who is inclined to choose a Johnny as their avatar. I don't know. We'll see. None of this is particularly useful strategic content. It's just something I've noticed. And I did just ram my Tropical Island straight into Wasteland if they're Death and Taxes. I guess the Zenith deck is also for a Wasteland deck, so there's Wasteland in both of these decks, no matter what they are. It is Death and Taxes. Shadow Spear is not the 1-mana artifact I'm usually afraid of, though. That might matter later, but glad that wasn't Vile. My opponent is a fan of the channel, and they told me in the chat their friend is the one who submitted the Anvil Chains of Mephistopheles Pox deck recently. That game was, or that league was so much fun. That deck was a lot of fun to work on. Shout out to that person. My opponent is spending a lot of time being friendly in the chat, though, which I appreciate. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like a maniac, but in this matchup, they're 3 minutes into their clock already, and I'm 50 seconds into mine. Like, that is going to matter going along here. I don't need Volcanic Island for this matchup. There's the Expressive Iteration and basically nothing else I want to do with that. Extra green source is a good thing. Or I have the basic, so Savannah can actually get tucked. My plan is to fetch basic Island and then play basic Forest and Uro into an extra land drop and then be well ahead of Wasteland moving forward. Schadenport messes that up a little bit, but it's not that bad. Thalia doesn't affect that plan at all. I don't want to keep those extra lands on top of my deck. There is some temptation now that I see Schadenport and just keeping the land drops flowing. There's a lot to like about that idea. But also, whatever. Uro, let's do it. Uro gets to put Tundra into play. Because of Thalia, I don't get to Ponder, so Thalia is doing her job. But because of Uro, I can Force of Will this turn. A second Schadenport. Okay. That card is unbeatable. I'm going to force that pitching. What's the worst card here? I mean, the redundant Uro is not great. Ponder. Yeah, it's actually the redundant Uro. I'm in on that. I love Shark Typhoon against Death and Taxes. And Ponder will put a card into my graveyard to escape Uro with in the near future and help me hit the land drops. All right, opponent tapped their Schadenport after I countered the Spirit, and I have to assume there's an Aether Vial in their hand. and they just forgot about their own Thalia. So tapping that port was either a mastermind juke or just tipping their hand a little. Yeah, multiple lands. Let's go. Let's do that. I actually want to put the Savannah on top. Don't shuffle the library. This way, even through getting ported, I can still fetch and cast Uro next turn. They could port me twice, and I can still fetch Uro next turn. Yep, confirmed. I'm not going to spend a Force of Will on that. I'm hoping to Force of Will the Solitude in their hand, so my Uro gets to just coast to coast. But this deck does play for Caracas. But they wouldn't slow roll a land drop. They wouldn't miss a land drop just to hide Caracas. If they have Caracas, I'll probably know it this turn. And I'm going to save my Shark Typhoons. I could make a 1/1 Shark here, get a little velocity, but I don't think that's actually important. Okay, Wasteland. Does Wasteland change that at all? I don't think so. I'll float white for the show. It does Cycling Shark Typhoon change anything? Cycling Shark Typhoon, I would draw Misty Rainforest, then I draw Swords to Plowshares for turn, and then I escape Uro, and then if Uro hits a land, I actually get to plow next turn. So there is some value to the velocity here. I'm going to take it. All right, my opponent said they're just learning this deck. That makes it easier for me. No offense to my opponent, but play skill and understanding this matchup, like, fundamentally really matters a lot in the Bant versus Death and Taxes, because it's close. If both players play perfectly, I think it's close. All right, I'm going to escape Uro with what's already in play. Blue, blue, green, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That lets me hold up fetch land and insulate myself against Wasteland or Rishadan Port on their turn. And I'm holding up the 1 mana to be able to Force of Will through Thalia if I need to protect my Uro. If they do pitch cast Solitude here or something. Or just untap and play Swords to Plowshares. That is worth a Force of Will to me, if that's what they have. That fits the bill. I can't fetch white anyway. I don't think I care about red. I do care about red. Expressive Iteration's in the deck. Might as well draw to it. Okay, force pitching. I think I pitched Teferi. I like Shark Typhoon a lot in this matchup, and Teferi barely matters. Like, Teferi can clear out Cauldra and that sort of thing, but I have Swords of Plowshares in my hand. Shark Typhoon actually advances winning the game. In for 7, draw a card. Love a land drop. Now this is where, well, okay, Thalia makes it so we don't even have to have this conversation, but this is where the people in the comments want me to hardcast Shark Typhoon. And I still just think a 4/4 flying now with a guaranteed cantrip is better than a couple of 1/1 flyers over the next couple turns. Like, even if Thalia wasn't in play, I would not cast Shark Typhoon here. It's actually going to be pretty hard to lose this game, I think. I mean, I guess Uro is exposed right now, but they made it clear, or no, they did try to put an answer to it on the stack last turn, but I answered it. They might have a second answer to Uro. Yeah, that checks out. Hopefully we get to just consume Thalia in combat here with my 4/4. They're down to 1 card. They probably don't want to attack, even just like Endurance, even if Shark Typhoon's not on the radar. Yeah, you don't attack there. You can't beat Endurance. Plus, I've already pitched 1 Shark Typhoon. I'm going to get my basic planes, just make sure my lands are, or my colors are Wasteland resistant. That was a good non-attack. Good thing I fetched that red source too, my goodness. It's all coming up. I'm going to start with Swords to Plowshares. I want Thalia out of play. And then that makes Expressive Iteration and anything that cascades off of it cheaper. And by cascade, of course, I mean I find. It's not literally a cascade spell. A Prismatic in hand, Force Negation on the bottom, ending in exile. End their Vial. Do you have a 2-drop as your last card in hand? Nope. All right. Flooded Strand in play. And now we're just crunching. Okay, they're dead in 2 turns. I have 2 removal spells in their hand, or in my hand. Flicker Wisp is very good. That beats my Shark. Do I fetch Rockrin Triome, or do I leave it in the deck to draw? I think I leave it in the deck to draw. All Breach Arena. Death and Tax is not famous for drawing cards. Breacher is very good for me because it gets to attack for damage, which is my job right now. That land drop was good. Now they get to equip Shadow Spear and put Yorion in hand. I'm going to plow in response so they don't gain the extra life. I do need to figure out an answer to Yorion, because they are going to have a 4/5 creature in play next turn. And it'll be a 5/6 lifelink after that. I can remove the lifelink with Ending, but I don't play 5 colors to exile Yorion with. I have a couple turns to figure that out. Deck's got a lot of removal in it. Let's find some. Okay, that's actually pretty bonkers. I can put Wasteland in my hand, hit their Rishadan Port, then they need a land drop to even cast the Yorion. But I think that Narset right now is just better. I'm going to fetch and shuffle before I cast Narset. Blue, blue, colorless. If I hit the Days Undoing right now, the game ends. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, that's better than Swords of Plowshares. They both answer Yorion. This is a position where a tactical concession to consider the clock is actually important. If this was like a Legacy PTQ. Ooh. From the top rope, there's Solitude. Anyway, I was saying, if this was like a Legacy PTQ, and the clock really mattered and winning the match mattered, like my opponent said, they're just trying to learn the deck, which has different calculations involved. But it would be reasonable to concede here. Okay, Brainstorm or Jace. I can do both. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jace. Start there. Brainstorm. Swords of Plowshares. Happy to find that one. I'm going to put back the 2 Prismatic Endings. They're kind of actively terrible right now. And I'm going to use Ponder to see some new cards. Oh, actually, Teferi is a nice one. Yeah, let's get the gang back together. And I'm going to attack them with my Shark token. I don't think this deck plays Ephemerate or anything that would flicker their Solitude at instant speed. I should just plow it on my turn, though. I don't think I can trick them into equipping Shadow Spear or wasting mana on that. They're just going to go to combat and then cast Yorion, so I'll just do this now and avoid any tricks. In Force Will helps with the trick department quite a bit. Wasteland, okay. I'm pretty far ahead of that card. The opponent agrees. All right, we're up a game and up almost 4 minutes on the 2 important axes of this matchup. Okay, Dress Down is excellent. Meltdown is excellent. Carpet sucks. Endurance is fine. It's a body that I can whip into play. Shifting Ceratops sucks because all their removal's white. This is good against blue cards. Canonist doesn't matter. Pyroblast doesn't matter. Wasteland, we got options on Wasteland. Like, that can remove a Tactical Caracas or similar. The Force of Negation, 2 Force of Wills. I like leaving some number of force in. Loam is the best card in the deck. Shark Typhoon's fine. I like all my removal. I could skip the Days Undoing business, but this is exactly the type of deck you can dumpster with that, because they're not really great at interacting with it. But Hull Breacher as a Magic card sucks. That's actually interesting. If Hull Breacher, like, I would rather have Endurance than Hull Breacher in the deck in this matchup. If I'm cutting a Hull Breacher, do I cut both? Do I also want the Wasteland? Do I want to leave one Hull Breacher? In which case I get to leave Days Undoing. If I cut Hull Breacher and it's just Narset that combos with Days Undoing, then I don't want that. And I don't have a 6th card to bring in. Yeah, I think I'm going to do 4 on that calculation. Like, if there was any other card that had any text at all in the matchup that I could cut Days Undoing for, I'd probably do a 6 card package. But instead, I think I have to stick to the 4. Which, at this point, if Days Undoing's in the deck, is there an argument to find Hull Breacher a slot? Hull Breacher is blue even when it's not affecting the board. It pitches to one of the forces. But no, I think we're still 2-1 on like enablers versus Days Undoings. I just really don't want to draw Days Undoing when I can't do anything with it. This hand's actually great. Death and Taxes tries to mess with your mana. This hand has all 3 basic lands in it, plus 2 extra land drops to work with. Yeah, I'm keeping this. I just realized the Triome we're playing is Rockrin instead of Ketria. Normally I play Ketria in these decks because of Uro and Endurance. This should probably be that one. It's between us. I'm just going to get my basic land stability set up here. I can fetch Forest this turn, and then I can fetch Plains next turn and cast Plow or Ending, whatever is appropriate for the situation. Okay, there's Saga. Not every version of this deck plays Saga, and we didn't see it last game, but there it is. Glad we brought in the Meltdowns and Dress Downs. Down tribal. Saga doesn't like going down. Okay, green and white. I could Plow Thalia, or I could Ending Thalia. Plow hits the big creatures later, but Ending hits the Aether Vials and the equipment sort of stuff. I'm going to go with Plow. The fact that they have Saga in play, I probably would have ended Thalia if they didn't have Saga in play. But if Saga just gets some artifact that is hard to beat for me, like Retrofitter Foundry, I am going to answer it that way. Remove Thalia just in time. There's the Caracas to mess it up. This hand I kept because of all the lands in it is starting to melt down a little bit. So I do need a good card. That wasn't it. I can cycle Triome this turn, but they do get to fully execute their Urza Saga. You know, 1/1 construct, 2/2 construct, tutor an artifact. Let's see if they go for Graveyard Hate to preempt the Uro. Do they go for Shadow Spear to push damage? Do they have Retrofitter Foundry just to steadily threaten the board? I don't know what's in their deck or what they are evaluating the board state with. Okay, Vial makes sense. Just investing in the future. Good thing I saved the Prismatic Ending. Got to take 3 here, and I would love to Rockrin Triome into Meltdown right now. I'm not greedy, just give me the best card in my deck. Another land, not it. Narset. Okay. I can use Narset to cycle. Like, she'll find a card and then absorb some damage. Brainstorm Ponder. I do want Brainstorm. I hate how hard I am leaning into... Okay, so I won't. I was about to say I hate how hard I'm leaning into Spirit of the Labyrinth, but I'll just save the Prismatic Ending. There's not a lot of 1-drops in the deck anyway. I can afford Aether Vial ticking up for a turn. I think they have to attack Narset with both constructs anyway because of Swords to Plowshares. There's Wasteland showing up in the face of my 4 basics. Taiga doesn't help this board. The basics much better here. Yikes. Recruiter is a good one. What's the game plan here? I am behind on this board, but I have a lot of good cards that can change that quickly. I just need this Brainstorm to deliver. They tutored up Skyclave Apparition, so they're planning for a world where they have to remove a permanent. And they did attack Narset with both creatures to play around removal. I don't have removal, but that's still the right play. I left up white when I could have left up green. They do have Retrofitter Foundry also. That card's scary. Come on, Meltdown. Brainstorm into Meltdown. Into Teferi. Okay, I'll put these 2 tropical islands back into the deck. And then I'm going to fetch for Savannah. That's the white spell in my deck, or white land in my deck. And then the fairy, I guess I should ponder. No, I shouldn't ponder before I fetch. I can This is actually tricky. Like, if I find the Meltdown, then that changes what I want to do with everything else. I'm going to ponder, see if I find Meltdown. I did not find Meltdown. On Shark Typhoon, Swords to Plowshares. I don't hate this spread. Do not shuffle my library. And then I can remove two things. I could, like, exile the Vial and plow a creature, or I could Teferi, just bounce one of the... Oh, I can't Teferi because I spent my blue mana. Never mind. Okay. Prismatic Ending, the Retrofitter Foundry. Am I more worried about that or Aether Vial? Damn it! It's so hard. Magic's hard. I think I'm more worried about Vial. Because vialing in, like, anything is much worse than me knowing what I have to deal with every turn. Like, having to think about what if they vial in Spirit of the Labyrinth, or next turn, like, what if they have Flicker Wisp? Like, I just don't want to have to do that. Retrofitter Foundry, I can at least, like, count their lands and count their damage and see how long I have to deal with it. Speak of the devil. There it is. I think they should have wastelanded me first, because now I can point my swords over there. Though maybe they don't care about that, because they're still crunching for a pile of damage. I'm not sure why Recruiter of the Guard didn't attack. That's surprising. Okay, Plow the Spirit. Really glad I removed Aether Vial now. Ponder. Expressive Iteration, Flooded Strand. Those are all good cards. Don't shuffle that. And then 1, 2, 3. Teferi can bounce one of these constructs, which takes a bunch of damage off the board and gives me Expressive Iteration. Maybe I don't have time for Iteration. Not actually sure. It's not pretty either way. They get to make a 2/2 here, and then they're attacking for 4. They can make another 2/2 to make it 5. Yeah, I have one more turn to try to figure this out. They're attacking Teferi with 2 of their creatures. That, I don't think that changes the clock. It doesn't change the clock. So that was just a straight up really tight attack. Mother. Iteration is awkward because if I iterate into Meltdown, I can't cast it. But Iteration is still the play here. That sees the most cards. Red, blue, iterate. Shark Typhoon, Jace. Ugh. That's not good. Shark Typhoon in hand, Jace on the bottom, exile Tropical Island. Play the land. Then cycle Shark Typhoon now, I guess. I should leave up double white, though. Just puts a body into the situation. Field of the Dead. Oh, if I get another turn, that card's really good. I need the Swords to Plowshares, the construct now, because next turn Mom will keep it safe. I guess no, they don't have enough mana to turn this into a 4/4 and give it pro blue next turn. But I am kind of at 1. Uro would be nice to buy some time here. If they have Flicker Wisp in their hand, I'm just dead. I'm showing white mana, but they have the Wasteland also. This is tight. There's a lot of things I lose to here. Swords to Plowshares or Solitude leaves me at 1, though. And that's assuming they attack with Mother of Runes, which they may or may not do. And then if they attack with their 1/1s, they have the choice of do they want to save it with Mother and push the damage, or keep Mother untapped, playing long. I think you keep Mother untapped, because the clock doesn't change there. I'm going to save whatever life I can whenever I can here. Now I think they should settle into a mana denial posture. Like, they just haven't used this Wasteland for several turns. I think they should waste and port me and try to minimize my options going into next turn. I hope they don't, but I think that's what they should do. Alright, just put Yorion in hand. That's a deal. And they tapped their Wasteland to make this happen. Okay, I can choose a number to cycle Shark Typhoon for on my turn. The number's probably just 2. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that makes Shark Typhoon as big as it can be. Like bigger than all their shit. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. That was the draw. Red, colorless. Let's melt down for 1. That clears out the Foundry and any number of tokens. Wow, meltdown. Red splash coming in clutch right now. And then I make Field of the Dead, which creates a zombie. And then I have a blue blocker and a black blocker to check their Mother of Runes. Bang. They can wasteland my field, but it's already done its job, and there's a Loam in my deck somewhere. Now I gotta find 28 damage in 11 minutes. But they have 6 minutes to stay alive. Like, all of the thinking time earlier in the match is really starting to crunch now. As it does. Yeah, they don't have attacks. Or they didn't wasteland me. I think they should have done that, because now I get 2 more zombies. And I can attack with Shark Typhoon now. Or Shark Token. So I have a blue blocker that I can flash in whenever. And maybe one of the zombies should have attacked too. See if I could get a tap out of the Mother of Runes. Yeah, should have attacked. Or are we in for a Solitude blowout here? Okay. Maybe I'm not supposed to attack. Yorion is coming down next turn. Yeah, Yorion gets to come down next turn. They get to Solitude something and recruit, and they have Yorion in play. Like, they're actually grinding this. And they have Caracas for the Yorion. Yeah, there's a lot going on here that I'm not a fan of. Solitude was such a good card for this deck. I like it. I'm not complaining. It's just like, it's so cool that Solitude plus Yorion creates this endgame engine that allows this preposterous deck to exist. Big fan. Okay, that only exiles non-tokens, so that's not going to have a target. That's just a 2/2. And that's a turn where they didn't slam Yorion. I mean, I guess I do have a ton of open mana that they have to think about. But this gives me a turn to draw Force of Will or Dress Down or something that just blanks the Yorion. I hope I find one. Let's do that. Right, draw a step. Let's go. Bonder. I'm actually going to play my land first. Make sure I get the maximum number of zombies out of field. Force of Will, you don't say. Is getting Teferi into play something that I need to do? And I don't think so. Do not shuffle. And now I can't attack with zombie because Solitude blocking and getting pro black does more damage than the other zombies would push through. It's hard to read a blue opponent with 3 cards in hand, but if they slammed Yorion last turn instead of Skyclave Apparition, I think I'm miles behind, and now I think I'm miles ahead. All right, pro black. Oh, right, they get pro black and pro blue. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna flash in Hull Breacher and go to blocks. That makes them have to tap Mother of Runes if they want to keep their Solitude. And then I can untap and remove one of the mothers and bounce the other with Teferi. Oh, they just had Plow in their hand also. Okay, I mean, I gain life from that. Not the worst. Teferi and Endurance are the top 2 cards in my deck right now. Here comes the Yorion. I get to force it. Don't even have to fetch, which is good because I want the 2 cards on top of my deck exactly where they are. That also tapped their Wasteland, so I get to make another zombie. Okay, zombies are not blocking effectively anyway. I guess I have to leave 1 back, so they have to name Pro Black on an attack. I could have fetched and made the zombie, so that doesn't mean anything. Prismatic Ending the untapped Mother of Runes. This forces action. And then I'm going to Teferi and bounce the other Mother of Runes. And then I'm holding up Endurance. So I have a black blocker and a green blocker. And I have to use Ending first, because if they counter the Teferi ability by giving protection, then I don't draw a card. And I need the Endurance in my hand. And here's Teferi. Send the other Mother back into your hand. I draw Endurance, and I'm going to fetch right now while their Wasteland's tapped. That is my last fetchable land in the deck, so we're done doing that. Mother of Runes, 2 mystery cards in their hand right now. Spirit of the Lab, that sucks, but also, you know, doesn't kill me right now. I'll take it. Slamming the Pro Black, 1 mystery card left in their hand. I hope it's not Swords of Plowshares. Oh, it can't be because I have Teferi in play. So here comes Endurance. And I am going to Endurance myself. Get all these sweet cards back into my deck. In case this game goes forever. Yeah, they realize that even if this game would go on for a long time, they're not going to get it done in 2 minutes without their big attacker. So, GG's opponent. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I'm on the draw in round 3. I'm going to keep this hand. It's got removal, cantrips, and a counterspell in it. This is the type of blind opening hand you're looking for. An Island Ponder, Snow Island Ponder from my opponent. They chose to shuffle. I'm going to commit to the Triome now. This is as good a turn as any to sneak it into play tapped. No play from the opponent and a pass. I'm going to Ponder here, leaving up the tricolor land. Wow, EI is gas. I think I want to save that for later and just draw the land now. Oh, I should have put one of the blue cards in my hand so I can double force if I need to. That was bad. Yeah, I should have put Ponder on top. I can draw the land for my draw step. I just made my situation worse for no reason. Icefang Quaddle doesn't mean they're not a combo deck. This could be Simic Omnishow. Could also just be Bant or some flavor thereof. We'll see. They're fetching their 3rd land. We're about to learn some secrets. Snapcaster Ponder. Okay. Snapcaster's not in a lot of decks these days. I'm just going to spend my plow now on the Snapcaster. My draw-go nature of my hand can't really afford to take 3 a turn. I can take 1 a turn for a very long time, but 3 is a serious clock that I don't want to deal with. Speaking of clocks, we're going to manage the Moto clock throughout this one. Okay, I'm jamming EI now. I have my land drop up. They're not going to daze me. I'll put Jace in my hand, force on the bottom, exile Ponder, and I do have my land drop to cast Ponder with. Already red source in play. I need green mana, so let's get this Trop. Hope they're not a main deck back to basic strategy. I don't want a 3rd Force of Will. I will take an extra blue card so I can double force and still jam Jace next turn. Or use the double force to protect Jace. That's also a plan I'm interested in. Rainstorm. I'm getting combo vibes here. They haven't played any cards that indicate whether they're a combo deck or a control deck yet. Okay, Savannah gives it away. We're not a... That's not what they're doing. I can spend a turn wastelanding them, or I can spend a turn slamming Jace with double force backup. Yeah, this is the kind of exchange that will help you win control mirrors. Jace the Mind Sculptor's on the stack. Jace the Mind Sculptor's in play. Do they have Hull Breacher or nothing? Those are the 2 options. Snapcaster Mage can kill Jace, so I'm gonna plus target myself. This plays around Hull Breacher and Snapcaster Mage. And that is the extra Force of Will that I would like to put on the bottom of my deck. Now I don't have to force a Hull Breacher. I can like let it resolve, Prismatic Ending it next turn, just like take 4. I could also force pitching Days Undoing because it's horrifying to consider casting Days Undoing against a Hull Breacher deck. But they get so much information from that. Hello, I'm a Days Undoing deck. Okay. Who's winning this exchange? Cool. I have Jace, they don't. They have 5 cards in hand, I don't. But Ice Fang Coatl just getting to work on this Jace. Luckily, Death Touch doesn't matter. I have a clean turn to start brainstorming. Let's pull ahead. Now I kind of wish I had that Force of Will that I bottomed. I don't want these Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to Wasteland their Savannah. Play my new land and get to Fairy onto the board. Bouncing Coatl, they get a card, but I also get a card. I meant to shuffle before I did that, but busy talking. Yeah, so they get a card, but my Planeswalkers are safe for a turn. This deck definitely has Back to Basics in it, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. Uro resolves. I'm going to get basic planes and just plow the front half of this thing. I don't want to have to deal with that the second time around. Another target for Wasteland, but they have so many lands at this point that that doesn't matter. Plus Teferi, Brainstorm with Jace. Uro's great. Plow's fine. I actually don't think I want Uro right now. I can put Wasteland and Uro on top of the deck in that order. And pass. I will usually take the opportunity to have Hull Breacher and Teferi working in tandem against any control deck, because they're going to cast a cantrip. Oh, straight up concession to that one. Too good. Planeswalkers took control of that matchup. It's crazy we played against 2 just like Bant Days Undoing decks this week. Is this deck back? Did nobody tell me? Have you been hiding this deck that I love from me? Pyroblasts are going to chew up this matchup. We've seen this before. We saw Hull Breacher game 1 this time, so we don't have to do the like shifting Ceratops dance. We saw Snapcaster Mage and Hull Breacher, which makes Endurance a lot better. Just challenging combat and fighting over the graveyard are both important things. 2 Force of Wills. What did I do last time? I cut 2 Force of Wills. Loam. 1 or 2 Plows can get cut. And cutting the Days Undoing is tempting because they're also a Hull Breacher deck. I have my 2 Hull Breachers and Narset to shut down their Days Undoing, but I just don't want this card in my deck if my opponent can use it better than I can. I barely want that card in my deck when I'm using it perfectly. Like, even against Death and Taxes last round, I was like, do I want to play this? So definitely don't want it against the deck that has their own Hull Breachers. This is my plan. This hand is great. I'm going to keep it. Carpet of Flowers. We saw Carpet do what it does in the last Bant Mirror. And I can even cast it off Forest. So if my opponent also has Carpet, we don't need to go back and forth about it. Like, I get it and they don't. All right, here's Carpet. I get to ponder right away. Unless they Spell Pierce. Woo! Nice. Glad we got that out of the way on turn 1. It definitely would have blown me out on a Jace. Sylvan Library. All right, I do have that answered. Unless they have another answer. Kind of sucks I have to use my fetch land to not get red here. I can get basic planes and start respecting Back to Basics now, or I can try to get my mana set up. I'm going to respect Back to Basics. And hope they don't have Force of Will right now. Nice. Okay. Those early exchanges were pretty even, but we're on the draw, so we're up a card, which is just delightful. I love, unironically, absolutely adore Magic the Gathering when being on the draw is an advantage. I'm going to crack off Wasteland because I suspect that their deck's not very good at fighting low resource games. They can Hull Breacher here. I have the Force for their Days Undoing, so I just need to... Okay. It's just Endurance. I can block that card next turn. And they tucked my graveyard. That's fine. All right. Land was not a missing piece over there, apparently. Field of the Dead. Dope. I can Endurance to block their Endurance. That taps me out on their turn, but like I'm not casting any spells anyway. It would be absolute madness to counter this spell with Force of Will. Okay. Seems my opponent agrees with that assessment. Like, you don't lose a creature, they just bounce their fat asses off each other, and then they're both in play for the rest of the game. I'm gonna play Field of the Dead and just pass. I don't think I can afford to ponder into Hull Breacher here. And with Red Elemental Blast in my hand, I'm a fetch land away from protecting myself if I do end up having to make that play. Like, I just want a fetch land, and then I'll start pondering, but I'm not giving them Hull Breacher value. Still not doing it. I'm hitting land drops, they're not. I suspect they would have flashed in Hull Breacher, just if they could, or they're just saving up for a blowout. Come on, land. Oh, Rockern Triumph. The nuts. That gives me my Reb next turn, and it's the weirdest land name in my deck for Field of the Dead. Like, we're actually just in the field next turn already. Sometimes all you gotta do is hit your land drops. The number of spells in their hand is slightly concerning, though. Like, if their hand is Hull Breacher, Days Undoing, Force Backup, which is a reasonable thing, like that is a pretty reasonable spread to expect among 6 cards in a Legacy deck. Okay, so, alright, now we're just in the field, and I can do everything else that I want to do. Like, cast Ponder, and then I can Red Blast their Hull Breacher, and then if they force back, I can hard cast. Alright, none of that even matters. I'm putting Teferi on top. White, colorless, or I have an actual colorless land. Colorless, white, blue, still Red Blast to back this up. Force of Negation, pitching Force of Will. I am not going to fight over this. It's not that important to me. I got a 2-for-1. My deck is covered in good cards. I'm in the Field of the Dead. I'm holding up Red Blast. Like, getting combo killed here, if they just, like, Hull Breach me, is the only thing I'm still worried about. Second Endurance, I don't care about. I have that beat on board as well. Yeah, no attack. I'm going to draw the Uro, and I'm going to start with Ponder. I want to make sure I have land drops to put into play with this Uro. Those are a lot of good cards, but I am going to shuffle them. Somehow lands are just better than all of that. Well, Jace is better than lands. Okay. I'm going to fetch, because I need to leave up the red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I can't fetch Tropical Island because that's a name I already have. My Tundra's in the graveyard. This has to be a blue source. At this point, I'll start respecting back to basics a little more. That is the type of card that could still win this game. Blue, blue, colorless. Colorless, Jace. Brainstorm with Jace. Alright, that all just happened. I think we're pretty safe from... Okay, they're just conceding. I was thinking about the Brainstorm, and if I want to tap out for Uro to hit the extra land drop this turn or leave up Red Blast like I've been doing the whole game. I was going to leave up Red Blast, but they know how far behind they are. Just classic steamroll Bant Mirror. Field of the Dead, break and open control magics. As you do. We're on the play against Urza the Planeswalker, which is really scary because Urza is one of the most powerful characters in the Magic storyline. As far as my opponent in this round goes, I hope it's not actually Urza. But my hand has a removal spell. The first appearance of Loam, I took the list down to 1 because I found that 1 was the right number in the 80 card Yorion deck. So I wanted to give myself more good cards in the 60 card version too. And I haven't really missed it yet. But anyway, this is a good hand against fair decks, and it's a terrible hand against combo. I'm going to keep it. Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. I'm just going to bet that this is a matchup where Loam is important and ride that until it's not true anymore, or until Loam wins me the game. Those are the 2 options. It took my opponent a full 5 minutes to keep their hand. I imagine they are double queuing or busy or didn't see the match start or something. As we've seen already in this league, the round clock can matter a lot. Well, it's not going to matter here. It looks like I'm going to wish I had a blue card for this Force of Will. Maybe they'll just play Emery and I can plow it easily. I should have known Urza the Planeswalker would be playing a bunch of artifacts. That is what he's famous for. Okay, Storm is 5. Really missing that blue card right now. Tilt. Okay, having to sack 2 Lotus Petals to make that happen isn't pretty. Okay, they're bobbling me. I'm going to fetch my Triome right now. I don't think this is a matchup where I'm going to have a lot of time to cycle and loam and grind like that. And I do want the white source anyway. Come on, blue card. Prismatic Ending. That's not very good right now. I can loam, just make sure I hit my next land drop. I can hold up Plow in case they cast Urza this turn. I don't even know if Urza is in this deck. Oh wait, Loam is a green card. Alright, guess I'm passing the turn with mana up. Yeah, playing the island there was a huge punt actually, because I would have liked to Loam this turn and then Endurance next turn. That blocks the Thought Monitor, and then we're playing the game some more. But now that's several turns away. And that's also because this isn't Ketria Triome. But Ketria Triumph doesn't make white, so, I mean, there's some give and take on that. I am going to plow this. Start absorbing damage, try to make this game last longer. Okay, I can cast Loam on my Misty Rainforest. And I can Prismatic Ending the Mox Opal. They've sort of indicated with their play that their hand is like scrappy and looking for something important. And anything I can take them off of is nice. If they just have another Opal, because, I mean, it is a legend, and they've drawn a bunch of cards. That sucks for me. Right, both of those Urza's Baubles saw Force of Will. Hopefully they play around that. But they have 8 cards in their hand. Yikes. Saga, okay. In for 2. That's surprisingly honest. Oh. Do I Dredge Loam looking for Wasteland? Because I feel like Wasteland busts them down, but cantrips, I'm not going to Dredge Loam. I need spells. That's a good spell. Wow, okay. Unfortunately, this is a turn where they aren't full of baubles. I can deploy the Endurance here, and that might get a counter out of them. Because I'd really like this Hull Breacher to get into play. I'm going to target my opponent. I imagine Emery's in their deck somewhere. And the more baubles and shit I fill their deck with again, the better Hull Breacher becomes. Still not dredging Loam. Okay, now I have Force back up to my Hull Breacher. Endurance can't attack because the Saga's already... I guess it can attack now. 3/3. Yeah, it'll be 4/4s. This is the last chance Endurance is going to get to attack. And I'm not going to chump block, so let's go. Let's get the attack in where I can. Yep. There's a construct. It's another construct. I'm being pretty greedy with this Hull Breacher, I'm not going to lie. Oh my god, please cast Echo. Please cast Echo. Holy shit. Echo, Echo, Echo. Alright, well. I'll snipe that all the same. Thought Monitor is also worth a Hull Breach to me. Please don't have 2 forces in your hand. Okay, Hull Breacher's in play. I get 2 treasures. That doesn't necessarily matter, because I'm very dead. They clap me to 9. I need some removal right now. Loam is not going to help me with that. Oh no, I'm going to lose this game despite resolving Hull Breacher. Yeah, I don't even have chump blocks. Like, I'm just dead. Bummer. Okay. I revealed to them that Hull Breacher's in my deck. It wasn't for no reason. I had live draws, but yeah, it did not work out well. Though that might give them pause for future games. Like, they'll have to think about Hull Breacher even when I don't have it. Okay. Wasteland, Meltdown, Dress Down. This is what we're doing here. That game 1 is supposed to be difficult. That's what they build their deck for. I don't think this is a Loam matchup. I don't really think it's a Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending matchup either, but those have more text. Oh, Red Blast. Okay, there's a lot of cards coming in, actually. Briefly, my brain didn't calculate that they're a blue deck. Uro is a little slow. I can't cut too many because that card's really important in my plan. I'm not trying to Daze Undoing this deck. I think just having Narset or Hull Breacher is enough on its own. I don't need to have bad cards in my deck. Shark Typhoon is a little slow. Cycling it for a chump block and a cantrip is nice, but I can't count on that for too much. Jace might be too slow as well. Swords of Plowshares is really medium. I want some number in because their slow plan with Emery and stuff is a problem. But the spot removal just isn't great, and how to split it is also challenging. I want all 5 forces, and I gotta cut one more card. Endurance does challenge the board in a really meaningful way against Thought Monitor. I won't just like bleed out to 2 Thought Monitors. Endurance stabilizes that situation. I'm looking at Shark Typhoon, Jace, or another Swords to Plowshares at this point. And I'm bringing in the Rebs. So Reb functions as Swords to Plowshares against most of their creatures, like Emery, Sai, all that shit. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, I have Force blue card. Caracas answers a lot of their things, but this hand isn't really going anywhere after that. If Force blue card isn't enough, then this hand kind of stinks. I'm going to keep it though. You know, a fetch land changes that entirely. Like just getting Red Blast up or getting a 3rd color for Prismatic Ending to answer Emery sort of stuff. Or to cast the Uro, you know, all of that's good stuff. All right, they're just land going, basically. Another force, not pretty. All right, I need the land next turn. Preferably a red one, but I won't be picky. I will take literally any land at this point. But now I have double force. I'm not fighting over Thoughtcast. Come on, deck. Help me out here. It's land time. I would also accept Brainstorm. They know what... Oh, shit. Alright, well, they know I'm missing a land drop here. But my hand is now juiced up with blue cards. I won't have to discard until next turn. Saga, awfully powerful on this brick board after I miss my land drop. And I have the Dress Down and the Meltdown in the deck this game, which I didn't have last game. That gives me a lot of play. And they saw me draw Teferi, so they can string together the narrative of I missed my 3rd land drop, but they know I have Teferi. So if I jam Teferi and bounce Urza Saga, that can set them back if I find a land off the top. There is something going on here, at least. I hope their hand is just like 3 Emerys and a Sai that they can't cast because of Caracas. Ooh, Hope of Girapper. Girapper the Rapper over here. They are spewing off some artifacts. Hope of Girapper is a legend, by the way. Boop. Awkward. Alright, deck, give me the land. Pay me out here. They just saw a Prismatic Ending in my hand with their Bauble. Come on, land for Teferi. Shit! And I can't even do anything. Like, there's not even like a Lotus Petal I can exile with Prismatic Ending. I guess I'm just straight up discarding Uro. No, I'm going to discard Prismatic Ending. I think that card's a lot worse. So Uro can cantrip once I find it. You're just relentlessly deploying this Hope of Girapper. Taxing my white mana or something. Okay, I mean, as far as shitty unhelpful cards go, Dress Down is pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna crack off Prismatic Ending on this Lion's Eye Diamond, so it'll either be exiled or they have to discard their hand, and either way it's out of play. Let's just remove that variable. Yeah, they get some enormous constructs this turn because all their lands are also artifacts. They're clapping for at least, at least 6 this turn, maybe more. Probably more. They have 8 cards in their hand. Many of them are artifacts. Yeah, I need Dress Down to save me this game. If I can draw Fetch Land to protect my Dress Down with Red Blast, I'm going to be so much happier. Alright, come on, Fetch Land off the top. Hope is back. Sure. Okay, they just bobbled me. Am I drawing a land? Can you tell me, opponent? Let me in on the secret. Fetch land. Yes! Oh my god. So you're saying there's a chance And I'm going to dress down on their turn. I'm going to let them draw in case they try to pre-combat a Thought Monitor. I might be able to get an extra squeeze out of this dress down. What the shit? You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Okay. I'm going to dress down in response. Like, this seems lethal with the constructs, but making them discard their hand at the end of the turn is exciting to me. If I can navigate this. Get Volcanic Island. They forced me. Counter target blue spell. The Force of Will. Leave the Song of Creation alone. Another force. I have another force also. Force of Negation. Pitching to Jace. Because I can cast a fairy. Okay, cool. Their things are gone. Hope is just a 1/1. They get to draw a bunch of cards. I have a Force of Will at the back end. But, like, even Thought Monitors and shit just sort of come into play. But that is really good. I don't know. If they're a Storm deck, they're probably still going to beat me. Maybe I should have forced Song at the end of the Force chain. Like, after my Dress Down resolved, then also Force of Will the Song of Creation. I'm willing to believe I got greedy here. Guess I have to hope they go in on a Lion's Eye Diamond Echo, and then I can force that. But they'd end up with 2 cards in their hand anyway for casting the Echo. Hull Breacher. Whenever you cast this... Oh, well, I mean, that doesn't have abilities anyway. They have drawn most of their deck at this point. The Hull Breacher indicates to me that they are planning to Echo Evians at some point here. And do I even fight over that? Do I want a fresh 7? Maybe. Chain of Vapor targeting Mox Opal. Okay, that's fun. And they can sack all their lands and bounce all their own permanents. And then eventually at the end, bounce Dress Down. Cool. Oh, they're bouncing Dress Down immediately. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. Oh, actually, if they cast an Echo, I can respond to the Draw 2 trigger with Force of Will, which guarantees to counter the Echo. It's just how much mana they can make and if they can Echo again that I'm worried about. Oh, Hope of Girapur is cracking me. Right. Okay, I'm just dead. Yeah, I had to tap the Caracas to get the Dress Down in, and now they know they get to do what they want to do. Yeah, definitely should have countered the Song at the end of the string. I don't know why that didn't occur to me. Like, win the fight over Dress Down, then win the fight over Song, and then they have 2 cards left in their hand, and I can just do what I want. Oh wow, you're a Brain Freeze deck? Okay, that makes sense. There is not an Endurance in my hand. Which is too bad, because that actually does beat what they're doing. I mean, Storm is super lethal. Yeah, if I had an Endurance, I actually win this game. Like, they go to their end step, they discard their hand a Song, and then Endurance myself. Okay, but I'm dead instead. Yeah, should have forced that Song of Creation. Who knew? I am on the draw in the final round against Delver God Rich Cali. Last time we paired into him on the channel, we got absolutely clowned with a basically threatless Pox deck against Ragavan that didn't line up well. I have basic Plains and Swords of Plowshares. The Triome is brutal here. Like, normally it's not so bad, but right now it's actually heinous. Being on the draw sucks. On the play, I could get the Triome down and, like, make him decide between wasting me or not. Jace is actually bad in the matchup. Shark Typhoon's good. Days Undoing as a stone blank. I'm going to mulligan this. Oh god, it got worse. I'm going to keep this on the strength of Brainstorm. And I could send the Force of Will, or I could just stake my claim early and force whatever the 1-drop is. Yeah, because I can't, unless I top deck a white source, I'm not going to have it anyway. All right, I'm going to bottom Uro, and let's try to do this. I know this hand is bad, but I don't think going to 5 will do better. Yeah, never not. Here's Force of Will. All right, didn't daze me. I'll take that as a gift. No daze, no wasteland. Are we dashing Ragavan? DRC, okay. And ponder. So I basically have to brainstorm into a white source, but if I do find my basic planes, I'm in pretty good shape. If I just draw a white source off the top and I can play around days with my removal as well, we're even better off. Okay, great. This game is going to have some play to it. I can get the basic planes if it needs to. Wasteland. I'm going to plow DRC in response off of Tundra. Forget the basic. We don't get to do that. Just going to make sure. I'm going to play around days where I can here. And then I'm going to brainstorm and hope that it's just 3 lands. Uh-oh. Well, we're fucked. Murktide Regent. 4/4 creature. Just going to plow right now. Brainstorm. He saw me miss that land drop, so Wasteland is just coming for my throat here. I would actually love to get dashed by a Ragavan this turn because I don't want the top card in my deck. Okay, there's Ragavan. 2 cards left. Are they Force Blue card? Are they Daze? Let's find out together. Gotta cast my spell. Okay, 3 plows have gotten me this far on 1 land. And here's where the game completely collapses because their deck plays Dig Through Time. So does mine, but I actually have to work to do it. They just put it in their pile. If my next 2 cards are land, and I can get this Uro crunch in, we might actually still be playing this game somehow. Okay, I can cycle Shark Typhoon for 0 and just try to hit the land drop, and I think that is worth doing. And cycling it for 1 and challenging the DRC would be nice, but we don't get to live that life, unfortunately. Cycling Typhoon, hit the land, and ponder. Okay. I'm gonna slam Uro here. A tropical island. Let's pull ahead, or try to. Days Undoing. This is exactly the situation where Days Undoing sucks entire ass. It's the reason not to play the deck. Like we saw against like Death and Taxes and whatever reasons to play Days Undoing, but when you're in situations like this where it's just like, come on, spell, like you're really just like 1 relevant interactive spell away from making the game happen, and you draw that instead. It's just like, come on. Okay, ponder. I like the land, I like the Uro, I like the Teferi. I actually don't like the Teferi or the Uro. I'm gonna take the land, and I can ponder again now, or I could shuffle and ponder again. The Flooded Strand has to get a green source, so this Expressive Iteration is on hold anyway. Yeah, I'll look at new cards. Basically have to get Savannah here. Ponder. Looking for more white cards. White cards and lands are what I want to find here. Ooh, Force. Aggressive. Okay. So he is betting on flipping his creatures and getting the card selection out of the DRC before I'm able to escape Uro. It gets to put me to 9 here. Oh wait, I have fucking planes. I can't cast Uro anyway. Never mind. I don't know what I was even planning here. Okay. 7. I'm dead to a spell on top. I'm dead to not a spell on top. I can't Days Undoing here. It's just not an option. Yeah, I'm actually going to lose because I have basic planes. Yeah, Delver flips Revealing Expressive Iteration, and we're dead on board. Okay, never mind. Did all that work. No, he was totally right. He identified that I had basic planes and that I had lost track of, and he knew that Ponder would probably find the land to cast Uro. All right, let's see if Shifting Ceratops can do its job. It's been in the deck the whole time. This is kind of the matchup it's for, because it eats Delver, eats DRC, bounces off Murktide Regent. There's a lot of sideboard for this matchup. Days Undoing. See you later. Jace is out. Some number of Force of Wills are out. Definitely Force of Negation. Loam is very good here. Uro's good. Teferi's fine. Teferi's better on the play. I'll reconsider it on the draw. I might go to just 0 Force of Will. Gotta find 2 more spots here. I mean, Hull Breacher honestly is not very good. If the board is completely stable and I have Teferi and I'm already winning, Hull Breacher can really slam the door closed, but it dies to Bolt, dies to Red Blast, trades with Ragavan. Like, you trade their 1 mana creature for your 3 mana creature. It's just not a good deal. Shark Typhoon's great, Uro's great. I like Iteration, even though it is kind of unreliable against the Wasteland deck. Narset's actually fine because she replaces herself right away. Even if, like, you cast her, activate her, she gets bolted, you still got a card out of it. Now, looking at the cards that are left here, I think Teferi is the worst card left, or it's the Hull Breacher. Like, do I want 1 and 1? No, I actually think Hull Breacher is just worse than Teferi for what we're trying to get done here. Okay, here are all my cards. On the play with a carpet, we keep these. I'm going to fetch Tropical Island, or I could fetch Savannah and leave my islands in my deck. But Tropical Island casts this Ponder. Yeah, I'll get Trop. I would have liked to get Basic, but it wasn't an option. Okay, we got Ragavan in play already. Come on, white card. Uro's really good. Yes, make white. I have a YOLO swing here. Like, I can just Uro, deploy Wasteland, waste, and then like try to beat Ragavan, but wasting them in the face of Ragavan kind of sucks. I have Wasteland, Ponder, spike a white card as a line here. I could also just jam Teferi. Okay, I'm gonna Wasteland to play around Days, Ponder, and just try to hit one of my 8 white cards. Got one. Okay. All right, let's see if you got a force. All right. The board is clear. Ragavan's back. We did this last turn. This is the exact same turn. And it's like literally the exact same turn because I can Ponder into a white source again. Or Wasteland, Ponder, try to hit a white card. The Wastelands are getting dangerous because at some point they might run out of islands and then carpets off. And if this doesn't work, it's just really bad. Okay, Wasteland. Let's just make the same play again. Did not find a white card. Did find Loam. I like Loam a lot, but I'm going to shuffle this up for now. Oh, all right. Shuffled up, found the Loam. I didn't find my white card this time. Now I'm in trouble. If he just Wastelands me and then has no islands for... Oh, didn't want to concede game. Yeah, okay, didn't waste me. That's good news. It doesn't have to play a land here. That hurts. Okay, I can brainstorm. See what happens. Okay, found a bunch of stuff. Is this stuff actually helpful? I think Teferi's chance to impact this game has come and gone. I can put Uro on top, play my land, and then Ragavan will take Uro. If they want to cast Uro, it'll end up in my graveyard. And then Teferi's under it. I can decide if I want that or not. And I'll tell you the secret. I don't want it. I don't want Teferi in this spot. Yeah, just having 2 Ragavans is, you know, whatever. Right, Milda Days, which means either already has one or doesn't think it's good. Which are the 2 complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, one of those things, I get to just ignore Days for the rest of the game because he doesn't think it's good. And his assessment is probably right. Or it means that he already has one where I need to respect it for the rest of the game. Very tricky. Here's a Ponder. Probably just really digging for Wasteland. Chose to shuffle, found Wasteland anyway. Okay. I'm going to fetch for the Triome. I'm leaning in here. Yes, make green, blue, burrow. Yeah, had the days. That was the other half of the read. We'll see if there's another wasteland in that hand. Yeah, Ragavan is so fucked up here. Like, Ragavan plus days are just... Like, you get to keep all the mana that... You just get the mana right back. They'll let you play around Carpet because you're still developing mana every turn with Ragavan. I'm so sick of this card. I think it's totally fine in Modern. I think it's appropriate for Modern. I think it's fun in Vintage. I think the Legacy card pool specifically makes it unreasonable, and I've had enough. Okay, I am using Carpet's ability, and I'm gonna make blue, and I'm gonna cycle Shark Typhoon for 1 in my main phase. This gives me a chance to draw a white spell. In any Red Blast or Lightning Bolt punches through this, but I gotta put something in the way here. Just pretend that we're still playing this game. If the second Ragavan wasn't there, or if the second Ragavan was Delver or Dragon's Rage Channeler, I think we win this game. It's just literally Ragavan. Did all the work here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that is exactly lethal. GG. A 3-2 record after starting out 3-0. Kind of sucks. Some decisions were made in the last 2 matches that I might make differently the second time around. Not forcing the Song of Creation was clearly just greed incarnate. I didn't respect my opponent's ability to go from 2 cards in hand to their entire deck to like remove my dress down and kill me with protection. Like I just didn't give them credit to do that and probably shoulda. In that second game against Delver, the first time I did the like Wasteland, Ponder, Hope to Find Plow sequence, I think that made a lot of sense because there were 8 of them in the deck and I didn't know any of my top cards, and like, but the second one I already knew one of my cards, like it was just already diluted and there were only 7 hits instead of 8, and I get like fewer looks at fewer outs. Maybe I should have just accepted that Ragavan was going to hit me for a turn and started crunching with Uro and gain the life, pull ahead in that direction. Like maybe that's just a better way to play that game. But the Ragavan plus days, it's just such a blowout. I'm over it. I'm so over Ragavan plus days. Ban one of those cards, please. Anyway, this deck. I think Days Undoing is pretty bad. We sort of ran into the same thing we ran into 6 to 8 months ago, whenever the last time we worked on this deck was, which was, at first we were really focused on the Days Undoing combo, then realized that just like Planeswalkers, removal, and endurance was better than that, so we shaved down to 1, which is where we are now, and then eventually we cut it entirely and realized that just playing fair is better. And Field of the Dead is our unfair thing we're doing at the top end, which, I mean, Field of the Dead's pretty fair, all things considered, in the Legacy card pool. But Uro making double land drops with Loam, and if your land drops are Wasteland, like it just like starts to feel unfair. It certainly feels unfair in Control Mirrors where you have Field and they don't. But the Days Undoing never came up. I pitched it to Force a couple times. I boarded it out a lot. It just wasn't good. We also randomly played 2 Days Undoing mirrors in this league, which is not something that I would expect out of any 5 matches of Legacy. I would generally expect 0 Days Undoing mirrors, but we got 2 of them. I don't know what's going on there. But obviously, you can't risk having Days Undoing in your hand against a mirror that could have Hull Breacher. And that's my big strike against the card. The point of this Bant deck, or, you know, with the red splash, with the black splash, the 5-color, the Yorion, the point of all these decks is that all the cards are always good. And that last game against Rich, where we were like, okay, we gotta, you know, there was like a turn where it could have tipped either way, like before the Delver flipped, or before the thing got delirious, the DRC, or like before Drew Wasteland and took me off my colors. It was like, okay, there's an opportunity right now. I can draw a removal spell, I can draw a cantrip, I could draw Teferi or Endurance, really stabilize this board, and you draw Days Undoing instead. And it's like, okay, like you just can't have a dead draw in your deck against Delver in this metagame. Delver is the best deck. It's the most played deck. It's both of those things at the same time, and having a dead draw against that is not really acceptable. I would just rather have a third Endurance or the second Loam, second Expressive Iteration. And that also, if you're not playing Days Undoing, it unlocks these Hull Breacher slots. You can be doing something else with those slots. I do still like Narset. I like Teferi, Narset, Jace. That trifecta of Planeswalkers is really effective across the format, even if you're not doing Days Undoing stuff. But each of these is uniquely powerful, has a different type of effect on the game. And if you ever have any two of them in play at the same time, you're just running around with your hands in the air, celebrating. Yeah, I'm just not impressed with Hull Breacher or Days Undoing. The rest of this deck, I do like the shell. The Loam Bant still has legs. Shark Typhoon still doing work. I do like Shark Typhoon, but these three cards, your mileage may vary. Shifting Ceratops, unfortunately, never showed up. I'm not convinced on this one either. It just, you don't bring it in Bant mirrors because they have Swords to Plowshares. You don't bring it in against combo because it's a 4-mana sorcery speed spell, and then you basically only bring it in against Delver, and even there, it's still a 4-mana sorcery speed spell, and it doesn't get reach unless you pay another green. So if they like turn 3 a Murktide Regent, they crunch you with it, then you cast your Ceratops, then they crunch you with it again, and then you have to leave up green for the rest of the game just to give it reach, just to bounce off it. It's not like it stops it from attacking, it just like gets to attack every turn for free. It's like Rashad Port while they do stuff with their other cards. And this could just die at any point to double Lightning Bolt or Lightning Bolt Gutshot or Unholy Heat. It's not even really unkillable. Yeah, I don't like Shifting Ceratops. I don't like Hull Breacher. I don't like Days Undoing. The rest of these cards are great. Season to taste with those available slots I just opened up for you, and I think you'll have a much better time. But Bant is great. All hail Bant. The Endurance, Swords to Plowshares, Cantrips, Uro, Core, Shell. Always love that. Very happy to play with it. And the power level's there, in spite of the Days Undoing. In spite of some of the cards that weren't great here, the deck still performed. Most of the matches were close, or came down to a punt, or a decision that didn't pan out. I won't say punt. I'll say decision that didn't pan out. Not forcing Song of Creation, I would say punt. But I think the Days Wasteland Carpet sequence against Delver, I would consider that a decision that didn't pan out rather than a punt. But these cards are great. Love all these cards. This is the type of Legacy I like to play when it's available. Meltdown was phenomenal. Red Splash was phenomenal. I think that is worth doing if you're going to do this. And it's a surprise because most of them are splashing black at this point. So Red Blast out of the sideboard. If you expect a fair control metagame at your local store or whatever, the Red Blasts are really going to chew up opponents in those mirrors. Those are my thoughts about that. Spunky, thank you for asking me to play this. Returning back to the roots of the Bant Flash BoshNRoll channel Bant meme. Happy to do it. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon if you want me to play your deck. Check out the merch store if you want to buy a shirt. If you want to Island Ponder Keep in style. Thanks for watching. See you next time.